Wow, I never imagined I would reach 1,000 subscribers, but you have been so nice to me and so kind, and I just want to thank you so much for helping me reach this milestone. To celebrate, I want to take on a challenge that I've been avoiding for a long time. Mexican rice, Arroz Rojo. It is something that I grew up eating. I love eating it, but I have no idea how to make it. That's why, in classic Naey fashion, we're not just gonna learn how to make one version of Arroz Rojo, but we're gonna take on the challenge of learning 3 different variations, all at the same time. So hang on, because it's gonna be a really bumpy ride. This did not go according to plan, but the taste was delicious, according to my wife. So, goal accomplished. If you have all your ingredients ready, let's go to step 1.
I don't need friends. They disappoint me.
Okay, so I went to the professional abuelas, I took notes, and apparently the first step is gonna be to soak our rice. We gotta get rid of the starch because we're aiming for a non-sticky rice, and apparently this process helps us to do that. Just make sure to not do what I did in this video and soak it for too long. So while we let that soak, we can go to our pan, add some oil on medium heat or medium high, and then we add onions. Onions first because they take longer to saute. And we just move them around so they get cooked evenly, and when they grab a little bit of color, then we can go ahead and add our garlic, which cooks way quicker. We don't want to burn it because that will ruin our salsa, so just move it around and don't stop moving it. Go back to our rice and check on it, empty it on a strainer with cold water, give it a good little soak. And looking backwards, this probably should have been enough, but my notes deceived me a little bit, and I repeated the process 4 more times. Don't do what I did. Okay, so our onions grabbed a little bit of color, they got a little bit darker, our garlic is not burned yet, and yes, I added more garlic because I'm doing 3 different sauces at the same time. And to finish it off, we add the butter. That's one of the secret ingredients. Now, we take out our garlic, and I'm gonna separate my onions into 3 different portions because I need to make 3 different salsas. Back to that pesky rice, it looks pretty clear now. However, I over-soaked it by so much. But still, I followed my instructions and I tried to get it dried. While our rice is drying, we can make our first tomato sauce, which is the same as our second tomato sauce. We're gonna add 2 cups of chicken broth, our 2 tomatoes cut up, in this case from my metal chopping machine, and then the garlics, as much as you want, then those onions that we made, and here's the secret. Apparently, the little bouillon adds all the flavor. With our sauce ready, we can heat up the pot. Now, in many of the videos I looked at from the experts, they were using a pan, but I rebelled and I tried to fry my rice using a pot. Be careful. Once it's extremely hot, we drop our cup of rice in there. And we're gonna start stirring that puppy up right away. Ideally, doing 3 at the same time, not a good idea. But we're looking for this, a change in color. Then we can add our sauce. Since this is our simple variation, the most basic one you can do, we're just gonna stir it around so the rice doesn't stick to the bottom, wait for it to boil, and cover it up. It should be ready in about 20 minutes. Our veggie variation just has a few extra steps. Same tomato sauce, but to it, we're going to add peas, carrots, and some people add corn. I didn't have any, but I would have if I had it. We wait for it to boil, we cover it, and we leave it in peace for 15 to 20 minutes. So for our third sauce, we're gonna add spice and smokiness. Now I know the can says Chipotle in adobo, but if your can just says Chipotle, that's fine as well. We don't need to overdo it, just a spoon should be enough, but if you like Chipotle, add more. Don't forget those tasty onions. And of course, garlic. Now if I've had your attention up to this point, you may have noticed that I didn't really add salt to anything. That's because I used salted butter, I added the chicken bouillon in there, which is already salty, and the chicken broth in itself has sodium. So I refrained from adding salt just to work on the cautious side, because we know what has happened in the past in this channel when I use salt. I tend to overdo it. So I will add salt at the end. Now we can add our chipotle salsa into our rice, stir it all around so it doesn't stick to the bottom, add the vegetables as well, wait for it to boil, and same deal as with the other 2 rice variations, we wait patiently, 15 to 20 minutes. Now comes an important part of the making process that I don't fully understand yet. If you do, please let us know in the comments. Apparently, with Mexican rice, we are supposed to fluff it just before it's fully done. So at the 19-minute mark, I took the lid off for all 3 of them, and I fluffed it, which means I moved it around really gently. When I was doing this, I realized why the abuelas do it on a pan. It's much easier to move the rice around in a bigger surface. But we work with what we got, and this is what I did with the first simple Mexican rice. We turned the stove off, put a lid on it, and let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. I repeated the process with the second rice and the third rice variation. Now when I do this again, most likely I'm gonna do it on a pan, because as you can see on this small pot, I was having issues. So save yourself the struggles, do it on a pan. Now let me tell you about this third variation of the rice. I think because of the pot, which is stainless steel, the rice didn't really cook that well. Or maybe I added too much liquid to the salsa. Whatever it was, the rice took way longer to boil. And in all honesty, as you can see, it was sticky and it looks more like mashed potatoes than rice.
Why are you the way that you are?
I'm extremely embarrassed to put this out in public, but this is Naey cooking. So we want to learn from our mistakes, and also I want to share them with you so you can see what a mistake looks like. To fix this, I just let it rest there for longer. What truly matters is, how does it taste? Well, my first rice, the simplest of all simple Mexican rices with cilantro and sal, was not that bad. Quite enjoyable. If I did it again, I probably would just do one rice at a time, just to make sure that my rice is dry and it doesn't look as wet as this one. Now the veggie Mexican rice, to which we added red bell pepper at the end, that one was our favorite. My wife absolutely loved it, and so did I. So if you're gonna make one of these three, I absolutely recommend this second one. Whew. And last but not least, the Chipotle rice. Well, it was pretty wet, but the taste was intense. That habanero, that smokiness from the chipotle, and the vegetables, that crunch. It's a rice for thrill seekers. And if you add lime, it excels it to a whole other level. Tell me in the comments, which one are you gonna try to make? And what things can I fix to make sure that my rice comes out perfectly, like a true abuela?
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Thank you for all your comments, thank you for all your likes, and thank you for subscribing. See you in the next one.
I feel like a deer in the headlights of love.